So we join back in with our adventurers. After last session, the group had managed to finish the ritual for Dante, though still with some minor issues in controlling it fully. He has managed to access the blue healing flames that should allow him to cure some of the infected without killing them. And on the other side of things, Volu was able to have a conversation with Tanabori, albeit through a proxy, but managed to ask some questions and get some answers. We join the group now as they've rested for the night, and just before we left, they were pondering and thinking about heading up and trying to deal with the large infected creature they know is in the area. Mm-hmm. So, how does the morning look for you all? I mean, Dante, actually, we've not really... What does your morning now look like that you're not, like, woke up by the ever-present fear of something breaking loose and also the rattling of chains and such?
I would say bacon normally, but I've said he's vegan. Bacon? I think say like just... I feel like say Dante probably still where he kind of turns and kind of still jolts awake. Because even though the voices and things are gone, the memories are still ever present and they're not going to go away just as quickly as Tenebris's. Mm-hmm. So he probably still jolts awake and panics for a bit until he kind of realizes, no, this is real. And then we'll kind of go off and probably just, he's going to go off somewhere and probably just do kind of a small prayer with his little wooden islands of his wife and child. Mm-hmm. Just very quietly. And it's just solemn and not solemn, that's the wrong word.
Peaceful.
Solo.
Yeah. Solitary. Okay, for the others, is there anything particular that you would do in this as you wake up? Again, for everyone, that calm, peaceful air of the area that you sort of alluded was sort of emanating from Candace's tent or something around Candace's tent. So it's not like, for those of you that, you have slept in the wilds where, you sort of wake up and you have to check your stuff straight away. It doesn't feel that, there's not that, like, you don't feel like you're out in the wilderness until you sort of step out of the tent and like, oh yeah, we are fully quite far from any sort of civilization at this point.
And I suppose Eleni normally is alarming everything. She probably wouldn't have put alarms on last night because it feels like nothing's going to get in here that Canda doesn't want to get in here. So she'd possibly have slept better than she normally does. But I think getting up first thing, she'd then be thinking, right, we need to head into the mountains. How do we make sure we're not spotted? This thing can fly, it can see us from above. There's a whole load of things going through Eleni's head about how we're going to do this.
Okay. Volu, I think you're actually woken by something sort of butting and off game. You brought the dog is with us, isn't it? Or did you leave them with the
Rufus.
high priest?
Rufus is with us.
He's with us.
I thought so. Yeah, I fully thought so. So Volu, you're sort of woken by something nudging and almost like ruffling your pockets a little bit. There's like a sniffing and deep, almost like you catch the occasional like deep exhale as like they don't find anything.
Huff.
He thinks I keep sausages in my pocket. They belong in my belly.
This is it. Everyone else has fed him has kept them in the pocket, so he was having a look.
Yeah, so immediately just look over and be like, "Stupid Woofus," and then I'll then proceed to get up. We're still by the lake, aren't we?
Mm-hmm. You're in a tent, sort of. There's like a separated to like, so you walk into the main tent, and then there's two sections left and right. Canda's been on the one across, and you guys had. So you almost step out onto the lakeside.
So I'll step and look out at the lake. I'll see if I can see any bushes or underlying plants nearby, and inspect to find my morning leaf.
Okay, give me an investigation as you go searching.
Oh, I feel rusty with these dice. It feels like forever since I played.
It's only been a week.
Feels a lot longer than a week. That is an 18.
Okay, yeah. So you do manage to find a couple of nice leaves. You don't have to go too far. You may be 30, 40 foot from the camp. You can still feel the edges of that aura, and everyone's sort of still in sight. Ichi, what was your
Probably just really enjoying waking up like in the wilderness kind of thing. Like being able to have that connection with nature again. So there's a lot of just like Ichi laying out in like while I'm waiting for everyone else to kind of like wake up, because I believe Grundon don't fully sleep, do they?
Yeah, you don't sleep.
There's just kind of like a moment where they're just starfished out in like a little opening just with the sun just straight on them.
Okay. You would hear a soft, gentle snoring from Canda's side of the tent. And you would be free to move about with your morning. So unless there's anything, obviously let me know what you specifically want to do, if there's things you specifically want to do. Otherwise, you're all able to sort of join around the campfire, stuff prepared, and gather some food.
I think, say, Dante's gonna, after, say, he's come back and just remembering hearing his wife and kid's voice again, like the night before, he's gonna try to just produce flame, just to see what happens.
So give me a charisma saving throw.
I'm not even on the. Oh, it hasn't come through. It was a 10. Oh, because I haven't got the. Hasn't got the Chrome extension.
As you light up initially, it is just the red flames that you would expect. And as you're sort of trying to focus, there's almost like, again, that underlying occasionally while you're sort of focusing on, you're also feeling the heat on your arm and almost at times remembering your burns and your scars. And for those looking on, the flame at the moment is almost half. There's like a half blue, but still like red at the core. If you imagine the flames and tips are blue, but the actual ball in your hand is red still.
Are you planning to practice this on the wyverns if we come across any that are infected?
I think practicing it any chance probably would benefit. If we can get back to the city or wherever. And
I hate to say it, but if we try it out on some of the animals, if they're infected, if it doesn't work, we have to kill them anyway. It may be safer to try and get control of it out here before we try it on an actual person.
That is my way of thinking.
In which case, I suppose the question is, what's the next step?
Whereabouts? I mean, I know this lake obviously is south of the mountains, and we're on the edge of that lake. But it was further back that we saw the wyvern, wasn't it? It was sort of further back towards
Wasn't
Confessi.
that far back. You
Okay.
started seeing signs of the wyverns nearly immediately after leaving Cadfesti, but the infected wyverns was maybe a day ago, maybe
Okay.
maybe half a day at most.
So I suppose we
Bit
could
less.
retrace our steps and then head towards the mountains, or we could try heading into the mountains closer to where we are now. It might be slower going though. I don't know.
Is there a known route up the mountains?
I wouldn't know. I'm not from here. I mean, Ichi, have you been in this area before?
So Dante and Ichi, you can roll me histories.
And-
11.
Was that a 10 for Ichi?
Yeah, 10 for Ichi.
So, no, but not for necessarily like you don't know. You actually know that this end of the peaks are known to be quite steep and dangerous, and it's not that people don't climb it, but there's not a set route. There's not many reasons to come this far down the peaks.
I mean, most people seem to have been going through Cadfesi if they wanted to get across the mountains, didn't they?
Yeah, or they would go through Motoren on the right side.
Yeah.
So there's not literally even this little valley almost that's here isn't well travelled through. Not many people would actually cut from Cadfesi to Motoren. You would still probably come down towards the Loviet and then over and
Yeah.
Are you
back
saying
up if
it's
you
motor hen?
Motoren, like a rolled
Motoren.
like a rolled R.
Oh, okay. Motor hen.
It's the place in between where the pass is through the mountains, east of us.
That is what was the capital city of Imdor when they were separated as like desert and why am I brain gone? The Verdant Circle and the Lyrics and Arcanum, when they were very separated, that was the capital of Imdor.
Okay. I mean, it might be faster going if we stay on the edge of the mountains until the sort of area we saw and then try to cut in. But it's guesswork. I don't know these mountains well enough to know whether there's a pass or a good route through.
What are some of our backgrounds? Because this feels like a backgroundy-esque type
Could
thing.
be a backgroundy thing. There's also this is a little bit just information gathering, right? Like, so if you have anything that allows you to gain information, that can be beneficial.
I don't know if I do because my ranger stuff is desert and forest, not mountain.
I mean, mundanely, you could do a basic like actual just searching, a survival almost like as you go sort of thing. But yes, you are right. There's
This
nothing.
is it. As I can do it as I go, but right now, I mean, the only other thing I can do is that. I mean, even my primeval awareness, it'd tell us if there was I'm assuming that wyverns are actually dragon type creatures. So I'd be able to know if there was one within a mile, but that doesn't tell me which direction they're in or anything like that.
I mean, so I'm quite an intelligence-based character, but I don't have anything that can be. I mean, can I just think and go, yes, that's how a mountain would be?
I mean, that's more in terms of, I would say, once you sort of finding signs, then you would investigate and be like, okay, this looks like, same way you have been as you've been traveling, you sort of found spots and then you can say, okay, this looks like a space it's nesting, or this looks like a space it stopped for a moment. But again, you would probably want to apply your survival as well. It's if you imagine survival for like overland and then investigation once you find things.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to do it on the fly, aren't we?
I'm happy to aid someone.
I'm happy to do the survival, if that probably makes more sense.
Guidance.
Yeah. And then the other,
That didn't come
Yeah, I
from
know.
Volume.
I was going to say I just whoever was going to do it, I would then do guidance, but we hadn't decided yet.
You see, now he might not give me the guidance because now you've done that.
Yeah, well, that just makes him a dick. So,
So are we just
Like-
are we just saying on base survival or what?
Even guidance isn't going to
but
help
with
me here, right?
with advantage.
With advantage, thank Christ for that.
Dante's aiding.
I'm saying I've got pretty good survival.
So that's a 17. Do I have guidance as well?
Yeah.
Thank you. Get rid of that. That's 1d4, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so that's a 21 total.
Okay. So you sort of set off just towards, like a little, just moving towards the mountains a little bit. Getting a little closer and trying to look at the terrain. For you, Lenny, it looks like sort of what Ichi and Dante were saying. The initial maybe 100-foot climb, you can sort of see there are scrapes and slopes, and there's probably ways you can walk or almost crawl or that sort of but you'd be on your feet. However, after that, it becomes very steep and it's almost like mountain climb style. Not impossible. You're definitely seeing, there's plateaus and there's areas where you could, but there's not a set path really. What you are noticing is with the 21, you actually think you are closer to the center of the wyverns area. Because as you sort of get into, you sort of getting a little closer, and you get to the bit where it sort of turns from that rough grass into gravel, and it's starting to get fully, and you're noticing like a bone and a little scatterings, and not like full carcasses, but it gives you the impression like if something was like clearing out the after bits of its meal and sort of tossing them down the mountain.
Because I haven't said it already. Eleni is up ahead of everybody else, and she's not rushing. She's not purposely like sneaking, but she's choosing where she puts her feet very carefully. She's being quite light-footed, and I'm thinking sort of Aragorn style, right? The way that he tracks in Lord of the Rings. It's that kind of, I'm moving. I'm not like, I'm not going at a snail's pace, but I'm watching where I'm putting my feet, and I'm being careful not to stand on odd things or to knock stones over or whatever, and doing that up ahead. So
what the 21 gives you is, as you're sort of stepping through, is first off, way too many bones to be one wyvern, which actually gives you the impression, if you imagine if there were multiple wyverns living here, and then one of them got infected and started making all the others flee, or that sort of vibe. But the evidence here is actually that they've nested around these peaks for a while. There's bones here that are much older, buried right down in the gravel. There's broken bits that are completely under rocks that have also cascaded down. You're also seeing evidence of almost like small slate, like it's not the right rock for the floor, so it's definitely from up above,
right,
but it's almost like grinding. So for Ichi, that rolled quite well on the wyvern knowledge previously, when they like brush up their scales against the rocks up above, it sort of chips off little pieces. So again, that gives the vibe of nesting in these peaks as opposed to further down.
So obviously the older bones, they would be bleached a little bit by the sun. They'd be more brittle. Am I seeing anything that looks like newer, fresher bone that's been picked clean, but or even has bits of flesh still on it?
Not in this like first initial area, but for you, Eleni, you would know straight up that like this is the much older stuff that's had time to work its way down the mountain and cascade down and stuff. You think if you started to sort of climb up to the first shelves and plateaus, that would almost be where they would land, chew a bit, eat a bit, rip a bit apart. You would expect to find more evidence up there.
I think I would head back to the guys, tell them that we're close to a wyvern nesting place. But it's possible that this is where the wyverns started out. They're probably not living here anymore and that they've moved on. And I'm going to basically say, I know that we have rope, but do we have any pittons, anything we can use to actually climb? Because it's going to start getting really steep, guys. And I think we need to actually be prepared for this. It's not just walking.
Liam. Let me just check one thing. It's probably too much of an ask, but I can't ask for concentration and for it to move. I was going to ask for inspiration to allow me to move grasping vine and keep up as long as I keep concentration, keep it.
What's grasping vine normally?
You conjure a vine that sprouts from the ground in an unoccupied space of your choice within range. You can then direct the vine to lash out within 30 feet of where you can see it, and the creature is pulled 20 feet towards it. So I was essentially going to use...
Would it normally be concentration?
It's concentration, but only for a minute.
So yeah, realistically, you can either have it move, but then it's only concentration for a minute.
Which is then pointless, because we're not going to get out up there in a minute.
Or it's fixed, but you could extend the time.
Why don't we just fly? Get a wyvern.
What we do is we all hop on the rust bucket and then...
Only.
Why don't we get on top of the pub?
What was the guy with the rust bucket called? Why can I not remember his name?
Oh God, what was his name?
Yeah.
That's terrible that I can't remember his name.
There's no point me even trying.
You used to sending him the most.
Constantly, yeah. The guy who
I remember his entire.
Well,
so he looked like
Yeah, he looked like an elf, but he wasn't an elf, or was it the other way around?
Yeah, I thought it was the other way around. He was constantly illusioned because he got.
Yeah, he looked like a human, but wasn't.
And he was really, really, really into tech and gadgetry and all that sort of shit, but had very little.
I kept going to say like Gimli, but I'm like, no.
No, it wasn't that. I'm gonna have to look.
It's like if Gimli was an elf, that was his vibe.
But
then no, I don't have anything to help people.
Do we have a way of maybe? Why are we trying to climb up to there if we've got bones here? Do we think that they may eat here? Maybe we can pull some.
Typically, animals discard bones and such when they're done eating. They don't want to be cluttering their nest and such with rot. So typically it'll be they'll eat their food and then discard the bodies, or yes, like as you can imagine, hunt, drop the bodies here and then eat here and go back home.
Also, the bones here are all old. There's quite a lot of rock and shale as well that's come down from higher above. I suspect that the dens are actually further up, and that this has either been knocked down by the wyverns or maybe been washed down in rains. I don't know, but
just trying to think if we can get one. Maybe we can, if we know there is some connection between them now after we killed the one down there. So
Well,
if we start knocking on their door by murdering one of the other ones, they come to us.
Or capturing.
how far away are we from the lake now? Or are we not set off?
So you set off in terms of like straight north towards the mountain. You've moved maybe 150, 200, like not you can still see it, right? Like you've not gone far yet.
I mean, we could go back and ask if Panda and the rest of anybody has got anything else to help us climb.
I mean, I still like the idea of not necessarily us going into its territory. If we can bring it to us, whether that be through capturing a non-infected wyvern and using that as a lure for it to come and infect it, or capturing an infected one and using that as it'll call for distress.
How do we capture an infected one? Do we go and get some meat?
I mean, yes.
I mean, we know also the fire is in some form sentient via the infection.
Yeah. It's almost like a hive mind.
So maybe put me out there. I'm the thing I'm surely the thing that if it is sentient, it must know what can harm it.
Yes, so it would keep away from you, surely.
Dunno.
Maybe. Oh, I've got a potion of climbing.
You're the one asking. Does anyone have anything that can help us climb?
Hey, this is just in my backpack. I don't look at these
Jesus
things.
Christ.
Actually, and I have one as well. I don't know if that's the same one.
Oh my
or
God.
So
I
guys,
never
just
even thought to
have a
check
look.
that.
Have a look at their backpacks.
I have.
So I don't have
well,
that,
I
but
have
obviously
rope,
I have a burrowing speed, so I can.
Stupidly, I went looking for like rope and pittons and that kind of thing because I couldn't remember what kind of explorers or adventurers pack that I had. I never even looked for potions.
No,
Yeah.
I was literally just looking down. I was just like, I can't use a tinderbox. I've got a scroll of charm person because why the fuck not? Apparently, I don't know when we were given that. A bottle of orange bright liquid. Like this is just
Yeah.
from your normal kind of shit you get given apparently. But yeah, we have a potion of climbing.
I do have some rope, but
but to be fair, that it only gives us advantage on strength checks for climbing for next hour.
Better than nothing.
And if you two are doing the initial, theoretically you've got 200 foot of rope between you.
Yeah.
Who are the strongest ones here?
Probably me. Well, I've
I
only
would-
got a +1 strength, but I've got a big carrying capacity.
I would say Ichi, I'm going to say with the burrowing speed, it's going to give you a natural advantage to your climb if you're almost just able to like dig the hand in. Or, I mean, you can burrow straight in, but that's at the speed that you can burrow, obviously.
Yeah.
You can climb faster than that.
I was just thinking.
I do have my writhing tide bonus action, so worst case scenario, I can fly as a bonus action for 10 feet. So in terms of falling, it's not really a feather fall, but
Is there a tree anywhere around here? A branch out of the cliff? Anything along those lines?
Not like you can find some a little bit further back, but it's more you would head back towards the lakeside to get a.
I'm just trying to think. So, is there a way of, if one of us was to fall, either if we got something up high, shoot an arrow, and kind of almost like a hoist, or if we have a what do you call it, a tree near us, have the rope over that. So if we were falling at a high height, if we pulled quick enough, we might just miss the floor. But you know what? In for a penny, in for a pound. I'm happy to climb up. I think I'm nimble enough to get up.
okay.
Plus more. Unless someone's got, if we're not if we wanted to go through the meta ways, who's got the highest strength, guys?
Yep, not me.
I think me.
Oh, cool. Then you do it.
I've got +3 to strength, and I have obviously advantage on climbing because of my burrowing.
Oh, I'm stronger than you, mate, but I've only got advantage for an hour if I drink a potion.
Yeah.
So.
I thought you were
someone
dexterity.
can-
No, you're great. So I don't know why. For some reason, I thought you were dexterity based.
Yeah.
I am
Having a look,
dexterity
though,
based. Do you not remember my rolls being
Oh
absolutely
yeah,
insane?
you just have a unit of a character.
Except for my wisdom is fuck all.
With so from A-Learning's previous look, there are ledges and places to stop, sort of dotted up the side, and you are expecting some of those might be divots or caves or other such things, but how high up you're gonna have to go before you find one.
Okay.
I do have hand axes and that. Can I just dump them in?
I mean, yeah, like you can use them as like climbing tools still. I mean, you're still getting the advantage from the.
What is climbing like? Is that strength checks?
Yeah, it's athletic,
Oh,
isn't
cool.
it, normally?
Yeah.
It is athletics.
So that's dex,
Strength.
not strength.
So bull
So
strength.
if I had a spell, yeah, if I had bull strength, would that aid people?
Gives you advantage to strength things for an hour, so yeah.
Yeah, so
It'd help you, yeah.
Or anybody.
Well, anyone, whoever you put it on.
But it would mean that essentially you could make sure that everybody has advantage. You've got 2 potions, each naturally gets it.
I would, to be honest though, I would say it's not needed because the moment we have the rope, all of us get advantage.
So if one of us can go up and then tie a rope to something, drop it down, then actually the rest of us, and I'm not sure if we can get away without using the potions just to start off with.
I agree.
I would say that's going to be more useful later on, isn't it?
Yeah. Ichi, get your ass up there. I mean, to be honest,
Mr.
we
Bossy.
could. Like, I know you're not. You're from. I mean, you're from a monastery. I guess you're kind of like a monk. So if you were to like just climb all the way up and we shoot an arrow at you, you can catch it.
I'm not sure where you hop, skipped, and leapt to that conclusion.
Well, religious cult, kind of like a monastery.
It's like, how are they?
Less religious.
What's that got to...
Oh, yeah.
But I just think, because if he burrows, if he's actually in it, then he has no chance of falling down. But he can't bring a rope with him. Oh, unless it's in his pack, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So we give him all the rope and he just drops him down.
Yeah, but I can climb faster than I can burrow.
Yeah, but we're not rushed for time.
True. The only thing with burrowing is obviously there's a chance that I might disrupt
the
natural.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how I feel about you burrowing in this mountain. Yeah.
Don't really want to cause a rock slide.
Full on avalanche. Yeah.
I was like, why are you at the Golden Gate Bridge?
Why aren't you? No, actually, no. Better question. Why aren't you up this mountain? Get on it. Like,
is there a background of a mountain?
Yeah, I'm gonna start climbing up. We'll tie all 4 of the ropes together to give the 200 feet long, and then Ichi will tie one of them around his waist, and then they will start to climb.
Okay.
Well.
Is everybody going to the foot, like at the point where the actual climbing has to begin? Because, like I said, there's a good 100 foot, another 100 foot of like walking up the side of the mountain. I'm going to continue, even though Beecham's definitely done something horrific.
I was literally about to say, I'd assume we would all be underneath him, stretching out, I don't know, something like a trampoline or something, like clothes, but because I feel like that's been he's rolled before saying any of that, so
yeah, this isn't looking good.
With advantage. That's a natural 1.
You double that one.
I rolled 2 nat 1s.
Oh,
My
no.
first roll, I was like, oh, that's not good. Thank God for
Oh, my
advantage.
God.
Oh, that's really not good.
That's really not good.
Okay, let me ponder for a moment.
Uh-oh.
You could literally do anything from stub your toe to travel like your
To
whole
cause a rock
turn.
slide,
Knock
and that
yourself
kills us all,
out.
you know. Like,
Jesus Christ.
You could.
oh,
Okay, so
fuck.
Well,
you
we'll
get
just
you.
find out how
you-
far he went.
Oh, I love that. Give me a second. Okay, okay.
This is why they like. Spoiler alert. I'm totally being a chaos sorcerer. Like,
Oh, dear.
Okay, so as you get your rope secure, everyone sort of as he starts to climb, so you begin the ascent. You know, you dig in your hands as you're almost digging in with your claws, and that's almost leaving you slight foot spaces to dig in your foot as you start to make your way up. Are you? I mean, I assume there are points, you know, where you're using the natural rock itself to climb up rather than full.
Yeah,
digging
if I
in.
don't have to force my hand in, I won't. Like, I will. It's that using that to find, like, you know how like rock climbers get like their hands and like lock their knuckles in between small gaps. It's kind of like doing that, but then using my roots to kind of like spread in.
All the rock here is like sun bleached, as it's south facing, beaming sunlight, and as it's weather worn, and the occasional cracks are deep enough as you begin to make your ascent. You get maybe 40, 50 feet up. The wind starts to pick up a little bit as you get out of the full, the dips and lows of the valley. And bits of gravel sort of scatter down. As you so you get to about a full 45, and there's a small ledge that's sort of offering a moment, and you can see on the stone surface there are acid-like black scorch marks. The ledge itself is maybe for you quite a decent size, but you think for a wyvern it's not like it wouldn't give a lot of space for them to fully land. If you imagine it's 7 feet, 6 feet. It's not like a full 10 foot that they would need for their wingspan. And as you pull yourself up, the ledge itself just gives way, and you begin to tumble. But as you do, the rope itself gets tangled and sort of hooks you, and you sort of left sort of hanging. Everything seems okay. It's all still.
I don't trust that for a second.
Can you make me an athletics to try and sort of regather where you're at?
roll a 1. Roll a 1.
I'm guessing just a straight roll because I'm disorientated.
Yes.
Oh, that's better. Where were you? That's athletics, was it? 22.
Okay, much better. Okay. So with the 22, you managed to grab back on. And again, it's not like the rope was wrapped. It was almost like, if you imagine, it started to like slide and then it wedged itself into a gap for a bit. And it's still, as you're moving, it's still sort of undoing itself because it's not fixed to anything. But you managed to grip on and begin climbing back up. As you make it again back to that ledge, you can see that this looks more almost like like, almost like a tree that, if we're comparing it to another animal, it's a tree that it would like bite or scratch. It's almost like practice or getting the excess bile out, sort of. It's a point that they choose to attack through practice or other such things, but it doesn't look corrupted, or it looks more like something left over from the den previously, if that makes sense. You again get back on and begin the ascent up. You make another 30 feet or so up, and the sloped ledge there's a ledge above that begins to slope inwards, and offers a moment of shelter from the wind. And as you climb up, you can see, as you're sort of looking down now from this almost perched vantage point, you may be 70 feet up at this point. You're looking out over. You're actually seeing sort of evidence of hunting patterns. There's almost drag marks and areas of the grass over there that are all burnt and biled, and you're sort of able, from this vantage point, you definitely think that this peak is like a central point. And also, you're thinking this, you're almost pondering, like, you haven't seen anything yet. And as you're thinking that, you're clambering up, and as you're sort of stepping to get ready to go you can see that there's another ledge, much bigger, maybe about 40, 50 feet up. And as you go to, you grip on with your hand, and you take a step, and a loud snap as you step on a brittle piece of bone. One of the larger, the hip, it's almost like where the leg would join at the hip almost, and the larger section of bone clatters down, bouncing down the mountainside. And for those below, there is it disturbs rocks, and there's a good scattering of rocks down the side. Each of you pause for a minute, and just as you're turning back, there's two high-pitched screeches from the clouds above.
They've got a cave troll.
And as you look up, you see two. Smaller, definitely not the size of the one you saw the other day. They're almost in between. If you imagine, one of them sort of skitters around the side of one of the peaks as another floats lazily through. They're not on you, but they've heard that disturbance around what is clearly their habitat or den. You've got a moment, and I'd say for those below, can everyone roll me a perception for those below? Each of you saw it. You're tired of that if you imagine each of you, they're sort of floating at the 200-foot range right now. So it's still quite high from the ground, but for you, that's 70 foot up and in the mountains almost.
Yeah.
You can see them.
That's a 14 from me. It's pretty rubbish.
12 from me.
Well, I had a good roll. 13. Yes, that is what I class as a good roll. It's double digits. I'm happy.
Okay, so, and Ichi, can you give me a survival?
$17.
So for Ichi, first off, both of them are acting. So smaller wyverns are often skittish because they get even just in the sense of they get bullied off the food if they find a meal and then they're too loud about it. The bigger wyverns come and bully them away from it. These ones are on crack paranoid. The one that's skittering around the wall is checking over and in everything before it moves on to the next thing. The one that's staying slow, you can tell that it's not staying slow and low because it's being lazy. It's stealthing, and not from necessarily the things on the floor, from the other things that might hear it flapping about at 200 feet up. But they are starting to maneuver their way in. And what would you like to do? For the others, you heard the screeches, but you can't tell where in that. You know that it's like, okay, they're up there somewhere, but they haven't quite revealed themselves to the others on the ground. You can still react, and you still do have a moment. So everybody, I'm going to start with Ichi, but everybody's going to have a moment, as you only heard the calls, but not sure where from. So Ichi, what would you actually like to do? If you can see that.
You say that I'm approximately 70 to 90 feet.
70 feet up.
Okay.
This ledge is wider than the first one, so this one's it's like a 10-foot. It's definitely something that you could sit and perch on. And there is bits of bones, but not like, again, it's not. This isn't the feeding point, but this is maybe where they might stop and drag a bigger thing or whatever.
Yeah. I'm going to wrap the rope around that tree that's next to me, like that they use to kind of like get rid of like the bile and like practice and all that like tooth sharp on a kind of tree. Wrap the rope around the base of that. Ichi is then going to press them, like get to the other side of where it is and like just press themselves flat against it, and it's just going to attempt at laying low for a moment just to try and draw their eye away.
Okay. I'm going to say do a stealth. If you're normally, are you breastplate? Not.
I am.
So I was going to say if you're normally disadvantaged, I'm going to say you can drop that because you're not moving. You're trying to.
Oh, nice. Yeah, no, I am normally at disadvantage because I believe I wear chainmail. Yeah, I do. So just a straight roll.
Yeah.
It's still a -1. That's a 6. Dinner, kids, dinner. Come eat your veggies.
Chink, 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 chink.
Yeah, it's that thing of like I'm not moving and I'm pressed up against the tree.
Are you still making noise?
But it's that whole thing of like I'm breathing and the chainmail's just like.
Okay, so you move into position and you're holding. What are the rest of you on the ground? So you would see Ichi sort of attempt to take. It looks from the ground. It looks like Ichi's taking cover by that tree.
How high up is it again?
He's about 70 foot right now. The rope is still trailing because you've still got another 130-ish foot of rope.
Just if we don't have a climb speed, is it half speed going up? Yeah, I thought it was.
So sorry, when you say the rope's trailing, you mean we've got more than enough rope?
Yeah, so currently Ichi has it tied around his waist, and there's 130-ish coiled on the floor because he's only 70 foot up right now, and you have a full 200 when they're all tied together.
Okay.
But do we know anything's happened?
Just a screech.
We need to get.
Yeah, so you guys have heard the screech, but can't tell exactly where it's coming from at this point.
Okay, well, I'm going to just say... So, if he's lowered down... I've got a jump thing, don't I? So I gain an additional 10 feet of jump.
Do you?
Something like that. I need a...
Liam.
Isn't that when you're in beast form?
While he's looking, let me... So, for Eleni.
So, Zephyr Strike. That only gives you extra speed after
you attack. Yeah.
Would a grapple count as an attack?
I would allow a grapple to count as an attack.
So, in theory, bear with me. If I cast Zephyr Strike, which is a bonus action, grab Volu by the scruff of the neck and swing him onto my back as an attack. Down the potion, my climbing potion, I then get to do 60 feet of movement.
You would need to do the potion first, just because it's a bonus action to cast Zephyr Strike. But yes,
But I could cast I could do the action as a. I could do the potion as an action, couldn't I?
Well, if you wanted,
You
I
could.
The
could
grapple would
cast.
be an action.
If you wanted, because
Oh,
I was
cool.
thinking of doing it anyway. If we're needing to move quickly, I can cast enhance ability on both of you, and give you advantage on strength without taking.
Well, I'm going to
potions.
say there's not time to discuss. We're in
No.
almost one turn thingy. So
That's what I'm thinking of doing. That's so down the potion, swing, grab Volu, whether he knows it's coming or not, like scruff of the neck, on my back, Zephyr Strike, other way around, Zephyr Strike, grab Volu, and that then in theory gives me 30 feet of movement and an extra 30 feet because of the attack on Zephyr Strike, so I can get 60 feet up with both of us.
Though it's half. Remember, it's half unless you've got climbing speed.
With the potion of climbing, I'd have climbing speed. That's what I'm on
I don't
about.
know. It doesn't.
No,
it
gives you advantage. That's unless I've misread that.
Oh, hang on.
Just say it gave its advantage on climbing checks for an hour.
No, you gain a climb speed equal to your speed
Yeah, I think
for
you
1
read the
hour.
wrong one.
And you get advantage on strength checks to climb.
So you get the climb speed and advantage.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
So you two chug that.
Yeah. So I get a climb speed, so that means I'm at normal speed then climbing,
So
and the
to be
Zephyr
honest,
Strike gives me another 30 feet.
in the sake of saving spells, because obviously Zephyr Strike will allow you to just take volley with you, but
Yeah.
you could also just bonus action, drink the potion, move action, and you will also be 60 foot up because you've got climb speed. Do you know what I mean?
True, actually. So I could say Volu climb on.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the
Volu
same
uses
thing.
his action to jump on.
I'm going to do the same thing to grab to do a potion. I've got a little bit extra movement speed, so that means that. So I'm just going to immediately head straight up because I've got 40 movement. So that means if I do move an action, I can get to the top.
Yeah. So you'd be at the top, and I'd be 60 feet up. So what's that? About 10, 15
20
feet.
or 10,
20,
yeah.
Well, so it's up to
10.
you, Eleni, whether you want to end on the wall. So 40 foot up, there's a ledge.
Right.
The next ledge up is the 70 foot, so you would be midway in between. You would be
I'd want to
almost
get as high as I could.
Okay, so you're on the wall about 10 foot from the next ledge.
Yeah.
Nobody attacked this tree. So.
And to be honest, Volu still has movement. If he's only used movement to climb onto me, he probably still has movement and could probably get up that last 10 feet using the rope.
If he wants to climb, it would be an actual climb.
To.
It would be an actual rope climb check for Volu.
It's either that or I throw him, but I don't think I've got any actions left.
Oh shit! Yeah, no, I did pick up a great sword, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Yep, cool.
Right, so how far am I at 60 foot? How far am I away from the top and Ichi?
10 foot from the
10
top.
more feet. So 10 more feet is the ledge that Ichi is stood on currently.
And me.
Well, you are actually higher again if you want to go higher, because you can go 80. Are you going just straight to the ledge, or are you going to be on the wall?
I'm going straight to where Ichi is.
Okay, so what I'll say is...
Okay, so can I do this then? I can bonus action Grasping Vine. Can I do that on the ledge? Because it's within 30 feet of an area I can spot.
Yeah.
And then can I get it to target Eleni? So then it will pull her 20 feet towards it.
Okay, yeah, so as you're climbing up, Eleni, just as you're like running out of steam, a vine just rounds your waist and whips you up. What I am going to say is, as you get to this, there is only space on this ledge for 2 of you to stand at full. The others can be on it, but you are pressed up against the wall and at disadvantage for like fighting and things like that, right? Or you are climbing on the wall and at disadvantage.
It's still
for
probably better on the ledge than it is
climbing
onto the wall.
Who is full standing and who is at the awkward position? Ichi is in one of the awkward positions because he's already leaning up against a tree.
As I've got up to the top and I've still got an additional 10 feet of movement, Can I not just move 5-10 feet in and just be like looking around and be like, what's wrong?
No, there is no in. It's up. Like
Oh.
you get to your ledge.
It's just wide enough to stand on.
10 foot ledge.
I thought it was like a mouth of a.
No, this is a very 10-foot ledge with a tree stump that each is currently like huddled behind, and then it's further up. The next bigger ledge is another 50 foot.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not being funny, but I'm big enough surely that
Oh.
Volu could be stood almost. He could be sort of in between my legs.
I didn't realise the next one was 50 feet up because I could have put my thing a little bit higher, but that's retcon, so never mind.
Kickity.
As you all arrive, so I'm going to say, I would assume, Dante, you are probably one of the main standing. I'll say that Volu, for now, you're sort of pressed onto the side. You would now, Dante, you are probably looking at Ichi and saying, what's going on? The other two of you can, with your passive, see and hear the now almost chittering wyverns that have picked up pace and are maybe about 100 foot from you, from your location as you stand right now.
Okay.
Ichi, you're now stood like looking at the others who are.
Ichi's just kind of like finger up to mouth, gesturing to where they are for the one that didn't notice.
My insight's -1.
What
are you doing?
I'm going to do this to Dante, and I'm going to cast Pass Without Trace on us all.
Okay.
This is not a location that we want to be having a fight.
So yeah, so Pass Without Trace, we get a +10 bonus 20 stealth checks, Paul.
Oh, amazing!
It's a brilliant.
What I will say is, so each of you can roll your stealth again. There is no other hiding spaces on this ledge.
No, I know we can't hide from sight, but I'm just thinking we can make ourselves. And it says a veil of shadows and silence radiates from you, masking you and your companions from detection. So it talks about a veil of shadows, and this is the 2014 rules.
No, it's fine.
So I know I normally use this when we're moving because it's about being tracked, but it talks about a veil of shadows and silence.
My new stealth.
I think that the veil of shadows is the description that goes with it boosting your stealth.
Okay.
So yes, you can make yourself quieter, and it definitely works to make you quiet.
Yeah.
Lenny would know that it won't stop them if they come here.
If they come close, they'll see us.
That's it. So I will say that you cast that off, and I think I'm going to enter initiative just so that I can track time. For Lenny, as you're seeing them, they definitely have heard, not seen, and they are trying to ascertain what it is that is making the noise right now.
I'm also going to say, oh, Jesus, that was so shit. So I've rolled at advantage because I've got my cloak on, my armor. So if I'm stood still, I sort of start to blend in. That was still only a 13, so +10 is a 23.
I rolled a 13 -1 down to 12
it's a
plus
stealth
10 for 20.
Wait, are we rolling?
Sorry, yeah, I was just about to say I rolled initiative just then.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine because I do need to set if you're gonna stealth, but I need initiatives first.
Initiatives as well. Okay. Oh my
God.
Do
we still get boost from?
Yes, you do.
What do we get?
Everyone has a +3 to initiative.
So that's a whole 7 then.
23.
24.
And I've got a 16
near the front.
Okay.
24, 23, 16, 7.
And a 7.
Right, I need to do stealth now, don't I? As well.
Well, so this is where it'll be on your turn when you do it. So hold
Yeah,
that
sorry,
dice roll.
No, no.
Just don't say it, and then you can use it in a minute.
Okay.
So are we saying I haven't cast Pass Without Trace yet?
No, I'm going to say that is what you did that triggered the initiative, right? So you have gone because again there is some magic aspect to casting a spell.
Yes.
That triggers the initiative of it. So Volu, you are up first, which is why I'm allowing you to hold that roll.
Thank you. It's a nat 20.
Okay, so where and how are you hiding? Because for you it is a bit easier because you just need cover. So you need something that gives you some sort of concealment. And actually for you, and I'm going to say with the nat 20, yeah, you just lie down and become a pile of leaves on this. How there is a pile of leaves 70 foot up a cliff, I don't know. But the wyverns ain't questioning it. That's just a pile of leaves, of course.
I'm gonna branch slightly over the tree stump that's there, and then basically it makes it look like there's leaves growing out of the tree.
Okay. Dante. Oh, sorry, Volu. Anything with bonus, that's just your action to hide. Anything with your bonus.
Good question. Does anybody want moving up?
I mean,
I'm happy to stay where I am. I think on the ledge.
If you can get me up, say without having to waste a spell, I'll accept it.
Well, at the moment I'm still concentrating, so my grasping vine is still there.
You need to. So you need to stay within 30 feet. Is that right, Liam? To get the advantage from the Pass Without Trace. Oh no, sorry, that's when it's cast. It's 30 feet, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Sorry.
Forget that. It only pulls it toward the vine, so it's useless at the moment.
Okay. Oh, shame. So I was because it's 50 feet above me, isn't it?
It is. So, Dante, your turn as you're looking up.
Well, I mean, there isn't any place to hide on this ledge.
Not on this ledge. So looking down, so you could go 30 foot down to the other ledge. Again, not a great place to hide, but you might be able to find at least there's some space. Or it's the 50 foot up to the next ledge.
Yeah.
Or with the climb speed, you could try and climb the rope down. And get back down to the ground, as it were, rather than to the next ledge down, if that makes sense.
I wanted to go to the ledge up.
Go for it then.
No, but there's no point because I can't get there in just movement. So, yeah, because even I get an additional 3. How does high jump work?
You would need a run up, and there is
no. There's long jump.
Usually you run up.
Both of them you need a run up.
Yeah, like long jump is you can jump the big number. High jump is you can jump the small number.
Oh, okay.
High jump.
That would actually make me at like 47 feet. With movement and jump, because I get an additional 3 feet on my high jump. Cool. Well, there's nothing else I can do, so I'm gonna jump off this ledge and slide down. So I've got a climb speed, so I'm hoping that
you can easily just slide your way down.
Yeah, but I might try to do a bit more jumpy, if possible. So it's not, hey, look at all this stuff I'm just dragging down.
Make me a stealth then as you go.
That's absolutely fine. Not amazing, but not the worst.
So
with
just so you know,
10, so that's 21.
Yeah. Okay. No. Yeah. Very easily. Just so you know for future. So high jump is 3 plus your strength modifier. If you move at least 10 foot, half if you don't move 10 feet.
I'm guessing we didn't have 10 feet to move on that ledge.
No, so you would have had to have done a halved one. So it'd have been 3 plus your strength modifier halved.
Is that plus the additional 3 I get from my thing, or have you including that?
No, that's just core rules. So you would get an additional 3 on top of that.
Okay, so my just standard, if with a run up, is an additional 10 feet high.
Yeah, and without a run up, it's 6.
5.
Well, no, because it'd be 3.5, but then you add 3, so 6.5 basically.
Oh, fair enough. Okay, cool. So yeah, I've slid. I've kind of like leapt down. Stealthing is 21, and I'm on the ledge that is 30 feet down.
So it's 30 foot down, and it is much smaller. And I'm actually going to say that with your climbing speed, you're almost like underneath it, if that makes sense, because they're flying in above you, so you're almost in a position where from their flying path they wouldn't see you.
Yeah, so I'm just underneath the ledge, so I'm just holding in a position and be like,
yeah. Okay, and on to Ichi. I would say Ichi. You can see the darkness enveloping you. You can tell that this is a more hidden spot now in terms of like because of what, and obviously pass without trace in general.
Yeah, I think Ichi is just going to try and, because I've got nothing that can aid like distance wise. Like, I have a longbow, but I'm not great with it. So I think Ichi is just gonna, try and remain like trying to draw as little attention as possible.
Okay.
Do you want me to use the stealth that I previously rolled?
Yeah, yeah. Are you holding for anything?
I think holding like the dodge action, just kind of like stealthing, kind of like, and then just getting ready to, if something does see me, dip and dive.
Okay, and so Eleni, just before you actually move, the 2 wyverns do call out and spring into action. You see that from your position, Eleni, you can sort of see that one of them is sort of still jumping peak to peak and sort of keeping a bit of a distance away. The other one begins like a slow swoop and starts like spraying bits of bile and acid all along the mountainside. They were about 200 foot away, and it closes 160 feet as it goes into a full dive. It isn't beelining you, but it is dropping to about your level.
Okay.
And what I would say, again, sort of comparing it to other animals, you think like the diving one is trying to flush out hiding creatures.
Yeah.
And then as they flee, the other one is ready to pounce it, basically. So again, you don't think they've necessarily spotted you, they just know something's here.
So this ledge that we're on, I know it's only 5 to 10 feet wide. How long does it go along the wall of the cliff?
Again, maybe about 10 feet. But again, I'd say for you, Eleni, with a climb speed, you have options of under things and...
So, with my pass without trace, that's not reliant on me not attacking, is it? I mean, obviously it'll give them more chance to see me.
Well, so if you attack, it still breaks stealth. The plus 10 doesn't go away, but your stealth is broken. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah. Because I'm thinking, you said the next ledge was 50 up. So I'm thinking now I could use the Zephyr Strike. I could climb 30 feet, attack, so I'm not attacking from where the other guys are, and then use the other 30 feet to get to the next ledge.
Definitely could.
And are they much higher than that next ledge?
So the one that's dive bombed is about at the 100-foot marker.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
So they would be they're actually under the level of the next ledge. They're sort of
Okay.
they're moving more into level with where you are now.
Right.
The one that is waiting to pounce, that one is still like 150 sort of height. It's trying to get like a bigger vantage
Which is
point.
about 30 feet above the next ledge.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna do then. So I'm
move
gonna
up, attack the closest one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go up 30. I'm gonna longbow attack the closest one. And then I'll climb the rest of the next 20 feet. I'll cast Zephyr Strike and I'll climb the next.
And I just, when you talked about like jamming knuckles and things into cracks, Lenny just like jams her foot in, stands up to full extension off the wall, and just launches an arrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, move up, make your attack.
So it rolled for Zephyr Strike as well, but I think that's just the extra, isn't it? So
you get damage. Yeah, you get extra damage.
Oh my god, my rolling! For fuck's sake. I'm gonna abandon this and get some dice in a minute. That was a 13.
13. Lucky for you, these much smaller wyverns haven't quite grown in the same big armor plating of the ones you fought before.
Good.
And 13 is just enough to hit them. As there's a much louder warning-like screech as the arrows into the side of the nearest one.
So that's 9 from the longbow plus 2 from the Zephyr Strike. So that's 11 total.
Okay.
And then, yeah, next 20 feet to the next ledge.
So as you get up to the next ledge, you would have another 10 feet to move, but I will describe what you see first. As you bring yourself up, you come to a much wider, more natural outcropping. The stone here has been sort of worn smooth over weight and weather. And at first, it's the smell that sort of catches you. There's almost like a sickly mix of rot and sulfur and something sweet in the air, almost like spoiled fruit left in the sun. As you look around, this is clearly a feeding ledge. There are bones, recent things that still have flesh, bits of blood attached. You see goat skulls, other shattered wyvern bones and human scraps. You see belt buckles, bits of armor, toys, little bits of, of just stuff that's been left around here. And as you sort of look out, you're not able to fully sort of almost take in the view, as you also notice a shallow crack to your left that leads deeper into a space.
How big is the crack? Could a wyvern fit in that crack?
Small one, maybe, but it's getting to that point of a large. They would have to squeeze and work their way through. It wouldn't be like they couldn't just swoop in, sort of thing.
Is there any of the dead, rotting stuff near that crack?
There.
Shall I tell you what I'm thinking?
Yeah.
My initial thought was, as disgusting as this is, do I try to hide myself in the nasty, horrible, disgusting bits of dead things? If there's stuff near the crack, I could do that partially in the crack as well. I could sort of get into the crack and almost pull. I know I haven't got an action to do a full-on stealth, but sort of pull some of the dead and rotting thing near me, so hopefully they don't smell me. I don't know if they smell or not, but it's that sort of mix my scent in with the dead things. And
so first off, looking at the crack, there are bits around the initial start of it, but as it looks, it looks like a medium creature could fit through the space.
Okay.
And as you sort of move to look into it, it leads through into. There's almost like you're hit by cool, slightly damp air that suggests a cave further through. And as you step into the actual, if you imagine the crack is maybe about 3 feet wide, 2-3 feet wide, but it goes for maybe 10 foot. So there's almost 10 foot of you being shuffling. You would have to shuffle in, but you can tell there's a cave.
What does it smell like? The air coming out of the cave.
So the cave itself smells damp, but almost there's almost like a heat smell, almost ozony. You
Okay.
think?
But it doesn't smell dead. It doesn't smell like there's dead stuff in there.
No, it almost gives you like magical spell. It's like that. So like almost the only place that you have encountered something like this before out in the wilds was like right before a thunderstorm or that sort of.
Well, I only have 10 feet of movement left anyway, so I think I'm going to get into the crack maybe 5 feet, just in enough to not be out on view. But I'm not going to go any further in right now.
Okay. And okay, so as we come back around, can Dante roll me a d100? Under 30 is bad.
Where's the... Oh yeah, I have to do that. And our survey says 64.
Okay, so you all hold positions for another moment as the one that's dive bombing continues at full, like 160, like move and action, like pass, as it is just hitting rocks, disturbing things, just trying to make screeching out, making noises. For Dante, you would notice, like again, almost as if the rock, and you didn't see this before, but obviously each did, the rock you are hiding under seems to be a rock they aim at regularly, like it's like a practice shot rock. This one didn't shoot very well, and there's a splash of bile like just off to the right of you that drips on the rock next to you, but it passes straight over. You wait another minute longer, and for each of you would see the other one sort of trailing behind at the higher peaks, and they follow and continue, pausing another moment longer before all falls quiet, and you hear the screeches getting further and further.
Dante will poke his head out, have a look around, sees nothing. We're not even going to bother try and roll, and we'll slowly start to climb up to where everybody else is. Is everyone all right? Where's Eleni?
You went further up.
Eleni, if she thought they were gone, would be creeping back out onto the ledge and just sort of very carefully looking over the top.
Let's go up.
Okay. You all, I will say, so obviously Dante is able to just climb the way. Volu, are you going for the climb, or are you going to wait for somebody else to go and then rope it?
Rope, please.
Okay, and then can I get an athletics from Ichi with advantage as you finish that 50-foot section?
That is going to be a 17.
Okay, so fairly easily, you're able to make your way up to that ledge. And there is obviously, again, there's the sights and the smells. This is definitely a feeding ledge. But beyond the corner, you sort of take a look out over, and you can see Lake Sif sprawling beneath the almost like pale mirror ring. Like it's almost like a pale mirror ringed by green hills and standing stones. But also, one thing as we finish part one, you notice the stillness of the lake. There's no ripples, no motion, no movement. And as almost from up here, for those of you that know that is a portal, it becomes a lot more obvious from a height where you can tell that actually there is no movement on that water. And as you look out, sort of between the site of Lake Siffa in front of you and the strange cave behind you and the dangers above, that is where we'll leave part 1 of this episode. Thank you very much for joining. As always, thank you very much for playing. If you're enjoying the adventures so far and want to see what the players do next, hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you know when the videos are coming out. And as always, roll well. Bye.
This is the end of part 1. Part 2 airs Sunday 7 PM GMT, or will be linked in the top right of your screen now. Thank you for watching, and roll well.